Hi guys and welcome back to Prophecy Unfolding. My name is James. It's good if it's your first time here, you're very welcome. Today's video I wanted to kind of cover a range of kind of different topics. I've called this video a crisis that is coming, and I feel it's very close. I've been doing a lot of research today on different areas of crisis and different types of crisis. But today I wanted to show you or tell you and make you aware of 4 potential crises I believe will hit. One of them will hit at least before September 2020. Just something for you to look out for. It's always good to keep an eye. I'm praying and hoping that it doesn't happen, but I believe it's going to, and we're very close to happening. There's one in particular I feel is probably more probable than the other 3. Today I wanted to kind of get them out to you. Again, I say it's all about being alert and looking and seeing what's happening. There's one particular video that I watched, it was made a year ago. I'm going to throw down in the description, maybe have a watch that yourself, and some great detail of what the elite have been doing over the last couple of years in terms of protection for themselves, with the food, all of that type of stuff. But today I wanted to give you the 4 main things I believe one of them will potentially happen before September 2020 that will change the face of the world. Again guys, it's good to have you here. I forgot to say, if it's your first time here, you're welcome. Hit that subscribe button and also hit the little bell to keep up to date with all new videos and uploads. Today is more of a relaxed day. You might hear I'm still a little bit groggy in the throat from the operation last week, but feeling much better than I did this time last week. But today I wanted to cover 4 potential crisis that's going to come very soon. I strongly believe in my heart, for whatever reason, September is a big month. I'm not sure exactly why. I'm very open to changes in this, because things change in the world very quickly, as we've seen. It can happen in a day, it can change, and it can be what we didn't expect at all. But here's number 1 of what I think could potentially happen before September or within September 2020. The first one is a war. We're seeing massive indicators of war. People are ready for war. For whatever reason, countries are starting to flex their muscles. When we look at China, we see them starting to really push their agenda, wanting to take even back Hong Kong. There could be a Cold War there. Also, they're looking towards the US, Cold War between themselves and the United States. Then you have Russia, who is an ally to China as well. It's just very scary. We're seeing the flexing of the muscles. Ships in Iran going on fire. Some of them are pinpointing towards Israel being to blame. There could be a massive Middle Eastern war there. And then if that happens, other countries get involved. Potentially the start of a World War III. I believe the world is prepped and ready for this. We don't learn from history. Humans don't. But we have an inclination for war and territory and fighting over certain things. So war is a massive feat. If you look through anything news related and you can see the wars there and the rumours of wars, it'll take one small incident for a war to kick off, which then affects every aspect of our everyday lives, financial, food, all of the kind of the luxuries and benefits that we may have here. That all changes. It's very biblical as well for wars. But that's number 1. That's the first thing that we should be looking at. Number 2 is the second wave of COVID. Now, I've done a couple of different videos on this. I'm not going to get into detail on what I believe. I think most of these get the point. The death rate, not too big. Masks, not something I like to do. You have to wear it now. Where I'm from, it's mandatory to wear them whenever you go into a store anywhere. Alright, but the second wave of COVID, the second wave of any kind of illness, virus, etc., is always worse than the first wave. Now this is what they tell us. And they've been warning us that it's going to happen, and you're starting to see the increase in numbers in terms of new cases. So I believe that second wave could happen. Now what that will do, essentially, again, will massively affect businesses, especially smaller businesses, recession starts to kick in as people stop spending money. Commercialised will stop spending. The housing market has essentially stopped. All of this affects the GDP of a country, which essentially can destroy it from within. Here in Ireland, they're giving out a COVID payment, which is nearly twice the amount of what the normal social welfare payment would be on a weekly basis. That has to be paid back. That's coming out of somewhere. We're getting more into debt from this virus, which will affect every person, and that's in every country. Anyone who is borrowing, which most of them do, has to be paid back, and the taxpayer pays it. Inflation costs go up. And I believe the second wave in some places has probably already started, folks. Be aware of what's happening around you. The whole point of why I do this is to try even to wake up one person. The issue when you're kind of looking at all this type of stuff, it's like the Matrix. You kind of swallow the red pill and you get down the rabbit hole. It's very hard to see anything else. You look at everything that way. But we have to have a balanced view. So that will be number 2. COVID is on the rise. The second wave could be imminent. It could happen at any moment. It gets only worse. They go back in phases and they lock the countries down, and we're back where we were in February or March. But it'd be worse because it'd be the winter time. Number 3, which I think is massive, huge. Massive is a word we use here for extremely big in terms of the top pattern. It's a huge thing, which is the financial crash. Folks, we're so close to it happening, it's unbelievable. We're seeing inflation costs, we're seeing it happening around when, and if I'm not mistaken here, when the GDP gross is at a minus for 2 or 3 quarters, technically you go into a recession. But I believe if it keeps going and a lockdown happens again because of the second wave, or a war happens and businesses stop, we will technically go into what's called a depression. Now, a depression will always affect the working man more than anything else. The higher people, the elites, they make money in recessions and depressions. The rest of us pay the penalty and pay the cost. And that's what I'll throw in the description. There's one video I've watched there which is amazing on the detail of that happening. And that's something I believe that they do plan. I believe they like the recessions because they make huge profits. The prices for them get lower to buy, and then as they start to move out of recession, prices go up and they make huge money. So recession is there. But the main one I wanted to talk about, and I've spoken this before, and I believe it's going to hit everybody, everywhere, and that's food. Now the reason why I'm focusing on food, because you can have all the gold in China, but if you have no food, you can't eat the gold. So if you control the food, you control the population. That's the saying. Most people will tell you that. If you control the food, you control the people. Food is next on the agenda, folks. It's huge. I believe that's going to be the major key come September-ish, October, in around that period of time. The food is going to be so hard. And if we look biblically speaking, it talks in the end time that it'll cost a day's wage to buy a loaf of bread. We're going to get to a stage where it's going to be hard to get the essentials. Bread, milk, all these type of essentials will be so expensive to buy. Top on that, if a recession happens, people out of work don't have a huge amount of money, and the cost is so big to buy the essentials. Whether it be a war, it's the same thing, you become rations. But the food is going to be the main thing that's going to be attacked. Because if they control the food, they control you, they control me. And what happens when there's no food? We've seen what happened in Venezuela and other countries. Absolute chaos. People will turn on family members, on their neighbours, to kill and steal if they have any food there, to feed them and their family. This is why I'm so nervous when it comes to the food side, to make sure we're ready. And it's not a scaremongering tip, it's more to have you ready for what could potentially happen. And I've said before, if you're bulk buying, if you do have the financial gains to be able to buy more than what's needed, the food is there to help you and hopefully help someone else. And if they're not saved, you give them and preach the gospel, most importantly, with the food. Their soul is the main thing. But it's there to try help others as well. If you're in a position where you can buy more, buy more. If it doesn't happen, you're still going to use those essentials, whether it's water and food. You're still going to eat them and use them. They won't go to waste. There's nothing wrong with being prepared. And that was the main message that I wanted to say. Between the four of them, whether it's war, whether it's COVID, whether it's a recession, or whether it's a break in the food supplier, whether it be the chain or whether it be the locusts are eating all the food everywhere, so much is happening around the world. It's quite hard to keep a grip on what is actually going on and keep up the time with it. It's so biblical. It's scary and exciting. But the Bible describes all of this. And the fact that it's describing this, it's happening together. And we can see the increase in intensity of it all happening. And it's one of the main reasons why I decided to even do this. Not for gain, nothing for me. If I can wake one person up to the truth of what's really happening, and then they wake another person up, it's done its job. It's all about being ready and being alert. And when I say being ready for the food, again I say, it's to help people in need. It is 2020, folks. It's July 2020 now at this stage. 6 months of the year has come and gone in a blink of an eye, even though it felt long when the lockdown first happened. Things can change in a heartbeat. I wouldn't be surprised, some people would say, I wouldn't be surprised if we've seen ET land this year. The year has been that strange and that crazy. A lot of things are going to happen. Just keep an eye on what the news tell you in terms of small bits. They always drop little hints here and there. But the main thing I would tell you, folks, be prepared and be ready. Have a little bit extra in if you can. It'll make it a lot easier so you're not out and about all the time at different stores trying to get the essentials of what you need. This is not here to scare you. It's not something I like to do. It's to inform you. It's to inform us. It's to inform me as well. Sorry, a little bit of hydration. But we are in that period of time, folks. I honestly believe things are going to rapidly change. I'm not sure whether this happens for you, but you just get the feeling, that eerie feeling when you look around and we think about what's happened. And then we think, will it ever go back to the way it was back in December last year or November last year? It won't. We have now crossed the line to where things and momentum are starting to move. God is in full control, as I always say, but the enemy has a plan and God allows him to do what he has to do. And he uses his minions in the world, his disciples, as in Satan's disciples, people, the elite, to get the plan done. But that's only for a short time. Just know we need to be ready, folks. It's a Monday. I won't put a dampener on this. God is always in control. I just wanted to get this out there just to make us a little bit more alert. Keep an eye on things that are happening around us. September is a big month. For whatever reason, I feel it's strongly within my spirit that September would be huge. Keep an eye on what's happening. Remember, God is in control, and keep the faith.